it gives me the option to choose auto grade, which means that it will automatically grade a student on their most recent submission. So if they change something and I add something, it will automatically change it without me going back and regrading it. And then it will give options for all spreadsheets. So this would be if I created another spreadsheet, these options would carry over. So I can allow extra credit, which we'll talk about later. You can show additional grading options. You can decide how, when you're grading questions by hand, that was one of the grading options, that it will go to the next question. You can use your return email address, all kinds of things. So I'm excited for that because I don't want to change anything yet. Then, still under the advanced options, there's enable auto grade, which is what we just talked about. So if you do that, it would automatically, it's asking you if you want to update things, and I don't want to go through it, but it will automatically grade it without you going back and regrading. And then there's also set language. So set language is just what it sounds like. You set what language you want it in. So I have it in English. You can choose whatever you want, and then everything will come across as that. So I want English. Then there are extra things that you can do, extra add in portions of Flubaroo. So I'm going to go back, and as you can see down here on your little tabs, there's student submissions, which is, I'll show you what I had to start off before I told it to grade. And then once you hit grade, it automatically pulls up the grades tab. So if I go back to student submissions, I can see all of their answers. So if I want to accept more than one correct response, so if I, let's say, don't want to be super picky about spelling, if it's an answer using where they have to type a short answer and they're spelling some name of some person, and I don't want it to be between that and them not getting a score, I can, let's say, I know how they're going to spell it. Or for example, we can just use here, and I always want to make my changes on the key just to note, because Flubaroo already knows and has the key selected as the correct answer, so I don't want to change this. So if I want, let's say I think they might say yeah instead of yes, I can click here, and this is the answer, this is the correct answer, and then I can hit the % sign and or. And if I do that, then I can click type yeah. And this means that if students can answer yes or yeah, and they will get the answer correctly. Then if I have an answer that is numbers, but I don't want them to have the exact number to the decimal, then I can show a range. So let's say, we'll just keep on this one. So we'll clear this out. And you can always change your answers in here. You don't have to retake your assessment or anything like that. You can always change here and then regrade, and it will always show the answers from the key. So let's say the answer was going to be 8.5, but some students might have the decimal out farther. Some students might if they use the pi 3.14 or use the pi button, they might get different answers. So let's say I want to let them have 8.5 to 8.6, and they can get anywhere within there to be close. I would, once again, choose the correct answer, then the % sign, and then 2, and then I would say 8.6. So this means that the students can have any answer between 8.5 to 8.6 and get it correctly. In case-sensitive responses, which this means automatically Flubaroo is not case-sensitive. So for example, if I have a word typed like this, I have a capital YES. Flubaroo, if a student typed in lowercase YES or all caps YES, it would automatically grade it as correct because it assumes it's the right answer because it's close enough. However, if, for example, I'm giving a spelling test and the students need to have the exact correct answer, I need it to be case sensitive, which means I need it to match the exact spelling, capitalization, everything of the answer in my key. So I would have a % CS, and this would mean that it has got to be whatever I type in. So it has got to be YES, and that is the only answer that I would accept. For extra credit answers, right now, these points are just regular points. So how on the grades, they get 1 point. It's out of 6 total because there's 6 questions that each are worth 1 point. If I want to change that, and if I want to give them extra credit, meaning that I want to give them questions that they could possibly get right, but I don't want them to get their score discounted. If they don't get them right, then I need to add in an extra option. So go up to Flubaroo, and go to Advanced, and then hit the Advanced options again like we did before. And then there's actually this option that I said I'd talk about later that's allow extra credit when assigning points to questions. So if I do this and hit submit, and then I'll type an answer here so that I get the answer right again. And then now I have to regrade because I can't see where the extra credit did any good. So I will regrade the assignment. It's telling me again that it's going to replace my existing grades. And then now, see, this changed. It still has my grading option, how many points I want it worth, and then the question. So let's say I want this first one to be an extra credit question. I click this box, and then I want it worth 1 extra credit point. So this means the rest are going to be normal grading, and there is no option for extra credit. It will affect the grade whether you get it right or wrong. I continue. It still has my key as the correct answer. Now it's finishing grading. All right. Now you can notice up here the points possible. Before it said 6, and now it says 5 because it's not counting the extra credit question. So now this one, I changed it for number 1, was worth 1 question. And both students got 100%. So notice that this student now, instead of getting a less than 70%, got an 80% because they got that extra credit, and that just boosted their overall grade instead of taking it down. Then if I want to allow, we'll go back to student submissions, if I want to allow partial credit for checkbox questions, I can add that as an option. So let's say I have a checkbox and there's 3 correct answers out of the 6. However, if a student only answers 2 of the 3 correct ones, I still want them to get partial credit because I don't want them to get the whole thing right or the whole thing wrong, which is what will automatically happen in Flubaroo. If the 3 don't match up correctly exactly to what I have, then they're going to get it wrong. So let's say I want them to be able to say, we'll go to this one. Let's say grade work, C grade, and we'll just go with those 2. So I want them to be able, those are both the correct answers. However, each one of these students said the first one. Well, since it doesn't match this correctly, exactly, it's not going to give them any credit. So if I would go to here, then I can click %CB, and that's going to let me grade the work and see the grade, and if they have either one of those answers, they're going to get partial credit, which is what I want them to be able to do. And then finally, if we go to Advanced,